How are you anyway?
You've done that on purpose, haven't you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you have. You've done that purely because you want me to have a rant.
Oh yeah, Blackburn. I forgot they were even on. I forgot they were on.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people pouring out of Ewell Park right now that are Blackburn Rovers fans and Middlesbrough fans. Listen, congratulations, Middlesbrough. You've got an upturn in form at the moment. Michael Carrick's doing a great job. The surge is on, and I've no doubt that you've got big aspirations of getting yourself into those playoff situations and, who knows, maybe getting to the promised land. And congratulations to you, and you thoroughly deserved it tonight. Started well and didn't look in any trouble at any point of the game, away from home against the team that were only 5 points off promotion. So congratulations, Middlesbrough, as you head up back towards the northeast. You're going to have a wicked weekend. From a Blackburn Rovers point of view, it just is the cherry on top of a really bad cake that we baked this week, especially with the 3 people that have been targeted by certain fan groups at the club to stay away. Steve Waggett, Suhail Pasha and Rudi Gestede, they've been doing their interviews this week. They spoke to the club directly, they spoke to local media, they spoke to the BBC, and they've been opening those lines of communication between the fans and obviously the club. And the result tonight is obviously just putting, like I said, the icing on a very, very poor cake. I've heard loads of fans come onto Blackburn Rovers, onto talkSPORT this week, obviously venting their frustration.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few responses and what have you. And listen, I just want to have my say.
Go on
that, if this is all right, because of course the unrest at Blackburn Rovers, and for those that haven't seen this, supporters groups have asked for certain members of the Blackburn Rovers board to stay away from games. Obviously, they've not stayed away from games. They've gone to it this evening, and rightfully so. They shouldn't stay away from it because at the end of the day, it's their mess. They need to front it up, and they need to obviously answer for the things that are going wrong at the football club. But the unrest, and I just want to stress this to people that don't know too much about the situation, the unrest is, of course, exacerbated by poor performances and results. But this feeling from the Blackburn Rovers fan base has been going on for 15 years. In recent times, that feeling has obviously been diluted by good managers doing decent jobs with their hands tied behind the back, the likes of the Tony Mowbrays of this world. Jean Dahl Thomason did a good job for a period of time. John Eustace, of course. All of those people exceeded expectation with the players that they had at their disposal. All 3, for various reasons, walked away. None of them were sacked. They all decided that Blackburn Rovers was no longer for them for various reasons, and they walked away. Now, the ill feeling stems back to when the Venkys bought the club. They're not football people. They're on record saying that they're not football people. They bought the club to boost their own profile within India. Owning a Premier League football club was seen as cool. They had no idea that you can be relegated from the division when they decided to buy Blackburn Rovers. Where I do feel slightly sorry for the Venkys, and bear with me if you're a Blackburn Rovers fan coming away from Ewell Park thinking, what am I about to say? What I do feel slightly sorry for them is their extreme naivety and somewhat ego-driven stupidity was taken advantage of by greedy individuals who saw an opportunity to help themselves. Football agents advising the Venkys what to do, which saw the likes of Sam Allardyce almost instantly sacked. 10th in the Premier League. I think Sam had got us to the semi-finals of the League Cup that previous season. Steve Keane came in, who coincidentally had ties with the advisory agent that was advising the Venkys to how to run Blackburn Rovers. His CV, Steve Keane's this is at the time, didn't warrant the position of Blackburn Rovers manager. Steve Keane quite possibly might go down in history as the worst Premier League manager of all time. Got us relegated. When he left the club, Steve Keane, so he got us relegated out of the Premier League, got us into the Championship, and he left the club on the 28th of September in 2012. By May of 2013, so the same season, right? We'd had 3 permanent managers further to Steve Keane. Wow. So 4 permanent managers. We had interim managers as well that had come in. The likes of Henning Berg came in on, I think he did 50 days, 55 days or something like that. Michael Appleton came in. He did about 10 days more than that. And then Gary Bowyer came in after 2 stints as being interim manager. Good football men, like the likes of John Williams, who used to run the club. Obviously, he was under the Jack Walker regime. He ran the club brilliantly for many, many years. Run out of the club and replaced with the likes of Shebi Singh, people that you've never heard of in your entire life. People from reality television shows. This is all legit, what I'm telling you. A lot of the feeling that the Blackburn Rovers fan base stems back to this. And obviously it's very hard to let that go. Gary Bowyer, to his credit, steadied the ship. Solid man, communicated well with the fans, gave us back a little bit of pride, despite the circus that was going on in the boardroom. We finished 8th and 9th in the championship under him. Then they get rid of him when we get to 16th in the championship, but he wasn't allowed to buy any players because the clowns in the boardroom had breached the FFP. So he couldn't buy any players in. So from December 2014, he was just working with whatever was presented to him. So when it all starts to go wrong, they don't look at themselves. They go, oh, it must be your fault. Well, hang on, it weren't his fault last year or year before. It's your fault now. Paul Lambert, there's another one. Good man. Walked away. Activated a release clause. He weren't sacked. He just decided, this ain't for me, I'm off. Owen Coyle was sacked when he came in because he had an absolute disaster and we ended up going down to League One. Tony Mowbray comes in, steadies the ship. Good football man. Gets us back because he knows what he's doing. He's been around football for a long period of time. Gets us back to the championship. Makes us get a bit more respect. Tony Mowbray, for various reasons, walks away from the club. John Dahl Thomason comes in. We're doing this new project now. Brilliant. We're going to encourage these youthful players to come through from our academy. John Dahl Thomason works with those parameters, does extremely well. Walks away from the club. Okay, people will say that maybe he got offered another job elsewhere with the Swedish national team. Yeah, that's true. But if he believed in the project, why would he walk away? Same with John Eustace, and this is the straw that brought the camel's back for a lot of Blackburn Rovers fans. Because John Eustace has got a team who are exceeding expectations. There's no doubt about that. They are. But they're in the playoffs. And he decided to walk away from potential promotion to go and help a side in relegation. Don't give me this nonsense that Derby's closer to his house. All right, that might be factually correct. But people don't operate like that if things are going well within the business realm. This is a man of ambition. He wants to win and succeed and do well. The club obviously didn't match the things that he wanted to go and do. And now look at him at Derby County. He's done the business. He's kept them up. And next season they'll probably be challenging for playoffs. We won't. Absolutely we won't. The argument that some make, and I've seen this week with lots of fans online, right, that without the Venkys, we'd go into administration. The truth of that is that we probably would. It does cost around about 40 million quid to run Blackburn Rovers per year, and the Venkys do fund about 20 million of that to keep us afloat, to pay wages, to keep the lights on, and to keep people in jobs. However, that's the least they owe us. Listen to what I've just said 2 minutes before. All of this mess, and the reason why it costs so much money and why there is a shortfall, is because of their bad decisions. We got relegated from the Premier League because of their bad decisions. We went to League One because of their bad decisions. We've lost the fan base because of their bad decisions. We're in financial dire straits because of their bad decisions. The likes of Suhail Pasha, who runs the commercial aspect of the club, he blurts on that the Venkys are supporting the club. That's the least that they owe the club, because they've put them in this mess. It's easy for me to now say, sell the club, get rid, let's get somebody else in. But with all due respect, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Darren, when you think about Blackburn Rovers, it's not really an attractive proposition right now. Before the Venkys bought Rovers in 2010, they were up for sale for 3 years previous. So 2007 is when the Walker Trust put Blackburn Rovers up for sale. No business came forward. Nobody was asking to buy Blackburn Rovers. We weren't worth the investment now. Now the Venkys are 300 million in a hole. Will they cut the loss? Would you cut the loss on 300 million quid if that's what you're pumping in, if you're pumped into the club for a long period of time? What they need to do is get good football people in the club. It's proven that it's worked. You get good football people like Tony Mowbray, you get John Eustace, you get these types of people that know what they're doing. They can polish the mess and kind of make the best out of a bad situation. So my plea is this, right? Suhail Pasha, I've no idea what you do at the club. No idea. You've been there for a long time now. I've no idea what you do. Please, tomorrow morning, just hand your resignation in. Let's move on and let's get somebody else in that knows what they're doing. Steve Waggett, the buck stops with you, pal. You've been here since 2015. This is your mess. Have you made the club better in that period of time? I don't think you have. Please, do the same as Suhail Pasha, hand your resignation in, clear off. Let's get somebody else in that knows what they're doing at that level. Rudy Gestead, I'm going to cut you a little bit of slack here because you're operating to the instruction that you've been given. However, your inexperience is massively showing. You did a course in France. You've come to Blackburn Rovers on 3 months' work experience and they've given you this role. We need somebody that knows what they're doing in that role if we are going to operate with our hands tied behind our backs. You, sadly, my friend, are not that guy. I'm absolutely terrified about next season. I fear relegation before the season's even kicked off. Carl's a Rovers fan. He's ringing in now. Carl, have I said anything that's out of turn? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where are we at?
I think you pretty much covered it all off in that 5-6 minutes you got on there. Can't disagree with it. And it's just hugely frustrating. Ishmael coming in now, I know he's come in short notice, definitely wasn't first choice, but he doesn't know what he wants to do with the club at the moment. Is he going to do a back four? Can't pick the same 11. Nobody seems to know what they're doing. The unity that was built up in the first half of the season, it's all gone.
Carl,
what's your thoughts?
John Eustace identified, at the end of last season when John Eustace came in, it wasn't successful. He didn't win at home, did he? But he's identified in the off-season that we have players that can play a certain way. So when we started this season, it was about a low block, and we were going to nick wins here, there and everywhere, but we were going to be very difficult to beat. We weren't going to concede too many, and we were going to build from a strong defensive base. It worked, mate. We got to the playoff situation. Again, I stand by it. He's exceeding expectation with the level of play that I think we've got. We've got 4 million quid on the squad, mate, this year. It's ridiculous what we've spent. It's minimal compared to everybody else in the championship. Now,
that's it.
You are now asking the lads that has been identified to play a certain way, that has been successful. Now we're going to play a high press. Well, hang on a minute. We ain't got the players to play the high press. And when we play the high press, we're just getting pinged over the top and we're getting caught for fun because we've no defensive stability. And now look at us. What is it? 5-6 on the spin now that we're getting absolutely whooped? Mate, it's ridiculous.
That's it. 7 games he's been in charge. Lost 6, drawn 1.
There you go.
He come in, we were 5th. Middlesbrough just gone 5th today after that result. We've just had 2 1-0 victories over them in December. That wasn't that long ago. And playing the way we need to play. Working hard. Counter-attacking, and I think, to be fair to Eustace, it was becoming more than that. We started getting a few goals.
Absolutely.
We started seeing a bit more flair, and like you mentioned about Gazette, giving him a bit of leeway, I do agree with you. He's young, ambitious. Some of the signings look half decent, so I think he is worth keeping around, but like you say, some of the football incisions, when we've seen more experienced managers at the helm, we've proven that we'll go well, but they're all walking away halfway through their tender.
Look, think of it.
For 3 years in a row,
exactly.
we've been in the playoffs at Christmas.
There you go. There you go. You've nailed it there, mate. You've got good men like Tony Mowbray. John Dale Thompson was doing well, all right. He was a relatively newish manager to the game of football, but he was doing well. And now you've got John Eustace. All 3 walked away. That says everything that we need to say.
Need help though. The players need help, and you mentioned the budgets and you mentioned the expenditure. For the last 5-6 years, I think 2019, 6 million probably spent on the team. The rest of it, 1 million, 1.5 million, 4 million. That's not enough.
No, it isn't.
To take you where you want to go.
You're 100% right, Darren. But if that's going to be the business model, and that is what is laid out to the manager that comes in, you then need a director of football that knows exactly what they're doing to be able to rob Peter, pay Paul, bring in the youth, bring in someone from the continent, know that market like the back of their hand so you can bring in the lads and you can get away with it. The last 3 years, and the last 3 managers in particular, have papered over the cracks. So everybody looking at, Rovers fans are losing their heads because now all of a sudden it's going, Eustace has walked away and we've lost. It's nothing to do with that right now. This is just being exacerbated because of this current situation. This has been going on for 15 years. Yeah. This is how we've been feeling for 15 years. 03717 223344.